All right, so let me see, where was I? Um, Here's kind of a strange, funny thing. They, one kind of nice thing, just default de facto, of the sort of lack of material comforts, in a sense, or advanced technology, I don't know the right way to say it, um, was you kind of just went into a digital detox by default, because it's not like you're getting Wi-Fi everywhere. I think there was like a internet cafe, cyber cafe, but very slow internet, very restricted access, and I think very expensive. I can't really remember. I don't think I really spent much time doing that, but um, or at all. I can't remember. And so I didn't really, I don't remember coming across many TVs. um, Maybe I'm misremembering that, but at one point, somewhere that I was staying, there was a TV, and kind of like an old TV. And I want to say there was only one channel. Maybe that's not right, but I think only a few channels, and maybe even only one channel. And it seemed like every time I turned it on, the only program on was Little House on the Prairie. That old American TV show, Michael Landon, 1970s American TV show. And that was that caught my attention, seemed kind of odd, in part because you've got, such strict control over, government control, such a curated, media, entertainment, content environment. And here we have this American TV show, and that seemed a little strange. And I don't know exactly why that why that was the case, but when I started to reflect on it, it kind of, it occurred to me, it's like the ethos of that show and the kind of world that it portrays, that time period in American history, kind of frontier, hard scrabble, frontier living. Sort of the part of that ethos was very communal, rural, agrarian, society, farmers, resourceful, hardworking, sweat of your brow, kind of low technology. Yeah, as an artifact of the time period in that case, in the case of Little House of the Prairie, but you know, um, and all of those things, that hardworking, communal, agrarian, all that is very resonant with the kind of Cuban revolution communist project, at least on some level, at least kind of superficially. Could even say, I guess, propagandistically, right? It kind of made sense that that would be a television program that they would want to promote. Um, because of some of the kind of implicit values and the aesthetic and the ethos that the show embodied, were sort of values implicit in the Cuban, and explicit in some ways, in the Cuban context. Again, I don't know what the answer is, why that show is playing all the time, but that kind of made sense when I thought about it in that way. But that's just kind of a funny little detail. I Early on when I was in Havana, I maybe the first or second night I was out at a restaurant or a bar or something, I don't even think it was a bar. It was probably I think it was just some restaurant type of a situation, one of these national cafeterias. And I can't remember. I was just probably just sitting there relaxing, maybe writing, or and I got into a conversation with this person, this woman, Cuban woman. She was like at another table, and I can't remember how it happened. Part of me wants to say I think she kind of struck up a conversation like, "How's it going? Where are you from? What's going on?" you know, and in a way that was kind of seamless and made perfect sense. For one, I'm kind of an oddity, or I stick out like a sore thumb. Obviously not Cuban, and so the fact that somebody would say, ask me where I'm from or something, that just makes that makes sense. But also because in general, a lot of the Cubans I met, and just kind of in general, Cubans are very kind of outgoing and warm, friendly, open, you know, willing to talk, to engage, and so yeah, nothing about that was strange. But so, anyways, we started talking, and I think at some point she came and sat at my table, I think she came and sat at my table, and we were talking about different things and having a nice conversation. I think at some point I started to feel like, is she like getting flirtatious vibes a little bit, like, okay, so this woman's flirting with me. Now she was a bit older, I was a young guy. I think she was, I don't know how old, maybe late 30s or 40s, something like that. Not like, anyways. So that was kind of strange, kind of interesting. I mean, part of it, I guess, is my own, arrogance or whatever at that age, that I didn't that didn't raise any red flags for me. Just thinking like, okay, yeah, I guess that makes sense. I'm not a hideous, ugly guy, you know. I guess it's possible. This woman's just flirting with me. um, and so yeah, it was just kind of fun, just talking and stuff. And at some point she says, "Hey, do you want to go dance? Go dancing?" And I thought, well, yeah. I mean, that sounds like an interesting thing to do, right? Newly in Cuba, and go and have this